Since childhood, I always believed I had a deadly allergy to milk and chocolate. A story rooted in my first haunting Halloween, as my parents endlessly recounted. But everything crumbled when my aunt, estranged by Mom, unveiled a staggering secret. It was all a lie. I tried chocolate, and nothing happened. My heart brimmed with questions. Why did they deceive me? What lurked behind this charade? And then, a call with them unleashed a nightmare I never could have foreseen. Since I was a little girl, my parents drilled into me that I was severely allergic to both cow's milk and chocolate. It all started with a story they repeated like a mantra. My first Halloween, when I was barely toddling. Mom said she gave me a small milk chocolate bar from a neighbor's candy stash. Within 10 minutes, my body erupted in red, itchy hives, and I started wheezing as if I couldn't breathe. Panicked, they rushed me to the hospital in the dead of night. There, the doctor diagnosed me with allergies to both chocolate and milk protein. A rare combo, Mom claimed. From then on, those two things were banned from our house, treated like deadly poisons that could kill me with a single touch. But that memory, looking back, feels hazy, like a dream I can't quite pin down. I vaguely recall streetlights flashing past the car window in the dark, Mom yelling at Dad, "This is your fault for not watching her," while he floored the gas pedal. Or maybe that's just my imagination, painted by their endless retellings. I'm not sure. All I know is that every Halloween after that, while my friends gleefully collected candy from door to door, I was stuck with plain hard candies. No milk, no chocolate. Boring enough to make me miserable. Mom warned me over and over, if you eat the wrong thing, you'll die. Don't be stupid. That fear clung to me like a shadow, keeping me far away from anything brown or creamy smelling. Then, I caught another detail from Mom herself, during one of her rants at Dad when I was older. She said it all traced back to a daycare I once attended, a place she called irresponsible. She claimed I'd gotten deathly sick after eating something there, swearing it was chocolate's fault. She'd made a huge fuss, threatening to sue the daycare owner for daring to feed me her so-called forbidden food. Dad just shook his head, telling her not to blow it out of proportion, that no one could prove anything. I listened, confused, wondering why, if it was such a big deal, I didn't remember a thing about it. Mom insisted she'd done it to protect me, but sometimes I'd catch a strange glint in her eyes. Not worry, but something closer to anger, or even spite. I started to wonder, was I really allergic, or was this just a tale Mom spun to fuel some personal vendetta of hers? Back then, I didn't dare dig deeper. The truth, it turned out, was crazier than I could have imagined. After years of living with the haunting fear of milk and chocolate from the Halloween story, my parents drilled into me. I grew up in a world confined by their harsh warnings. But everything shifted last summer when I decided to escape that stifling home to visit a college friend in another state. During that trip, I got the idea to drop by my godmother, Aunt, whom my mom branded a family traitor and had cut off since I was little. I only vaguely recalled her from old photos, but curiosity and a longing to connect with someone beyond my parents drove me to seek her out. The day I met her, I could hardly believe her warmth. We spent the whole day hiking, chatting about everything from birds in the sky to memories Mom never shared. At lunch, she pulled some granola bars from her backpack, but I froze when I saw they had chocolate. "Auntie, I can't eat those. I'm allergic to chocolate," I said, my voice trembling slightly, dreading further explanation. She stared at me, eyes widening in shock, then burst into laughter. Not mocking, but as if she'd just heard something so absurd it was almost funny. "Allergic? You? Allergic to chocolate? Who told you that ridiculous story?" she asked, her tone laced with disbelief. I recounted the Halloween tale Mom always repeated, the night I nearly died from a milk chocolate bar. But she cut me off, her voice turning serious. "Listen to me, that's a lie. You've never been allergic to chocolate. Your mom made it up." I stood there, stunned, my mind spinning like I'd been hit hard. She went on, slow and certain, explaining how my mom concocted the story to blame the daycare, where I'd once fallen ill from some unexplained fever. Mom wanted to sue them but needed a dramatic excuse, so the chocolate allergy was born. My aunt said she'd tried to call Mom out, but Mom flew into a rage and severed ties with her ever since. I wanted to scream that she was lying, that Mom couldn't do this to me. But something in her voice, her sincerity, her sadness, stopped me from dismissing her. When we got back to her house, I stared at the granola bar on the table, hands shaking. "Try it," she said, her eyes glinting with a challenge. I took a small bite, bracing for the itching, the labored breathing. But nothing happened. No hives, no wheezing, just the sweet taste melting on my tongue. My heart pounded, not from an allergy, but from the realization. Everything I'd believed about myself might just be a horrifying lie spun by my mother. After leaving my aunt's house with the taste of chocolate lingering on my tongue and her shocking truth ringing in my ears, I couldn't stop thinking about the years Mom had caged me in a fabricated fear. Back at my friend's place, I lay on the sofa, staring at the ceiling, my mind a tangled mess. For 2 decades, I'd believed I was a ticking time bomb, one bite of chocolate away from disaster. But that granola bar proved otherwise. I needed answers from my parents, though my gut warned me this confrontation wouldn't be easy. I gathered my courage and called Dad that night, as darkness fell and the wind howled through the window, chilling my spine. "Dad, did you know I'm not actually allergic to chocolate and milk like you and Mom always said?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. There was a pause, then Dad snapped. "Don't be ridiculous. You've never been able to eat chocolate without a reaction. Why would we make that up?" I took a deep breath, pressing on. "I just ate some chocolate and I'm fine. I'm just asking if I ever had a real allergy test." But he cut me off. "I'll have to ask your mom. I'm upset you're calling us liars over this." Before I could respond, Mom's voice barged in. Dad must have put it on speaker. "Honey, don't you remember your 10th birthday? Your friend gave you a Tootsie Pop, and you reacted to the chocolate," she said, her tone sweet but cold as winter wind. I froze. "Mom, I never had a 10th birthday party. I was at summer camp. What are you talking about?" I shot back, my voice starting to shake. Her tone shifted instantly. "Why do you need to know about a test? You can't eat chocolate because we say so. You're lying now. How dare you say we didn't throw you a party? You've always been ungrateful." I was nearly speechless. My 10th birthday? I vividly remembered being at summer camp, splashing by the lake with friends. No party, no candy. Mom was making it up right in front of me, like I was a puppet in her play. "Mom, I know I didn't have that party. Why are you trying to make me believe something that never happened?" I yelled, tears welling up. But she didn't answer. She started screaming, her voice drowning out everything, like a cornered animal. I panicked and hung up, my hands shaking so hard I dropped the phone. It lit up relentlessly as she called back over and over. I counted at least 40 times before I powered it off. My aunt, sitting nearby, watched it all unfold, then silently hugged me, whispering, "This is why I don't talk to your mom anymore." I sat there, chilled to the bone, wondering who these people I called parents really were. After that horrific call with my parents, I couldn't stand being trapped in their web of lies for another second. Mom's screams still echoed in my ears, and the way Dad defended her without even hearing me out left me cold. I decided to cut contact. No calls, no texts, just emails if absolutely necessary. I powered off my old phone, tossed it into a corner of my friend's room, and told myself I'd start over, free from their oppressive shadow. But I never imagined Mom would react so ferociously. The first few days were oddly peaceful. I savored my freedom, tasting chocolate without fear. But then my friend's phone started ringing non-stop. Mom's number. I blocked it, but she switched to another, calling relentlessly like an unending storm. I counted hundreds of calls that first week, each one making my heart pound with dread that she'd track me down. I told my friend, and she urged me to report it if things worsened. I nodded, thinking Mom was just angry and would eventually give up. I was wrong. One afternoon, while I was at the school library working on assignments, a text from an unknown number popped up. "Meet Mom at table 5 now." I looked up, and there she was, meters away, wearing a student uniform, holding a book like she belonged. I froze. Mom had enrolled in my university. She smiled, but her icy gaze sent shivers down my spine. "I just want to be close to you," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. I bolted up to run, but she grabbed my arm, gripping so hard it hurt. "You can't escape me," she whispered, her hot breath against my ear. I yanked free, sprinting out of the library, my heart pounding like it might burst. I raced to the student affairs office, breathless, spilling everything. from the allergy lies to Mom now stalking me like a phantom. The staff listened, frowning, and asked, "What has she done specifically?" I recounted the calls, the grab, and how she'd signed up for classes I needed next semester. I'd seen her schedule on the school's internal site. They nodded, took notes, and said, "We'll look into it, but we need clearer evidence." I left the office, furious and rattled. Mom wasn't just lying. She'd turned into a hunter, refusing to let me go. I returned to my dorm, locked the door, checked the windows, feeling like prey. My aunt had warned me about Mom's obsession, but I never thought it'd reached this level of madness. I knew I had to do something to stop her, but in that moment, all I wanted was to hide forever. After discovering Mom had enrolled in my school and turned into an unrelenting shadow, I had no choice but to confront her madness head-on. I'd reported her to student affairs, and after days of anxious waiting, they finally arranged a meeting between us. I walked into the room with a heavy heart, clutching my old iPhone, reactivated to preserve evidence. Mom sat there, dressed impeccably like a model student, her eyes glistening with fake innocence as if she were the victim in this twisted tale. The meeting began, and the administrator asked us both to explain. I kept it brief. Mom lied about my allergies, then stalked me, enrolling to force me back under her control. She listened, smirked, and replied with chilling calm, "I don't know what she's talking about. I haven't contacted her in months. I just want to study, and she's making up stories to ruin me." I stared, incredulous at her audacity. The administrator turned to me. "Any proof?" I nodded, pulled out my phone, and opened the call log. Over 1,000 calls from her in the first week. I went no contact. "Here," I said, sliding it forward. Mom paled, but quickly regained composure. "That's not my number," she said, her voice wavering slightly. The administrator checked the student database, and it matched perfectly. Cornered, she stammered. I was just worried about her. She misunderstood me." But her eyes betrayed her. Panic of someone exposed. The administrator's tone hardened. "You've lied, and this is harassment. We won't tolerate it." They made us sign no contact agreements for the rest of the school year. Mom had to change her schedule, and any violation could bar her from buildings I used via the RFID system. I left the meeting feeling like a weight had lifted off my chest. But that relief didn't last. Days later, Dad called, leaving a voicemail I nearly deleted. "Your mom took sleeping pills to kill herself. She's in the hospital. If you didn't want her dead, you shouldn't have made her miserable." I didn't believe it, called the hospital to verify, and Dad picked up, yelling, "You're a monster! You've killed her!" His voice cracked, but I knew it was a ploy. Mom was fine, just playing her game. I hung up, hands shaking, guilt and anger surging. My aunt was away on business, leaving me alone to face this nightmare, wondering if Mom would ever stop.